Hello, everyone. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that my book, Drummers on Drumming, is available now on Amazon as both a paperback and an ebook. Based on the Big Fat Five segment of this podcast, where I sit down with my favorite drummers to discuss the 5 records and stories that shaped their approach to the instrument, this book is packed with insights from the drummers who redefined how we think about the modern drum set. You can grab your copy now by checking the link in this episode's show notes or simply searching Drummers on Drumming on Amazon. So thank you for all the support, and now let's get into the show. What is up? Welcome back to Drummers on Drumming, a podcast powered by Big Fat Snare Drum. My name is Ben Hilsinger, and this week is another installment of Big Fat 5, and I'm joined by Xavier Ware, who is currently out on the road with Bilmuri. That's the band, not the actor. Xavier's playing is unreal. He's able to blaze with the kind of intensity that feels like he's getting paid by the note, and then he can pivot into a dynamic, nuanced jazz approach with, I was focusing on his left foot, and that finesse is something I can't even wrap my head around. Both of those styles live so far outside of my own comfort zone and my own playing, which made this conversation especially exciting. So we talk about where he learned said jazz language and technique, how he breaks down the insanely technical songs he's known for, and his journey toward appreciating the small things, which, hey, I am all about. We also discuss how ultimately you shouldn't strive for perfect timing or perfect playing or perfect technique, but just getting that perfect feeling, which is both for you and the audience. So I hope you enjoy the 5 records that helped shape Xavier Ware into the musician he is today. Cheers. How did drums first come into your life?
Well, my mom, she tells me this story. When I was born, she prayed for me. And regardless of what anyone believes, I'm Christian, but I love everyone. That's my whole message. She prayed over me and said, Lord, use him for whatever you want him to be. And I came out playing drums. I came out hitting pots and pans. My dad told me recently that he would tap a rhythm on my mom's stomach and I'd repeat it back, or he would go like 1, 2, 3, and I would hit 4 with him.
Wow.
And there would be like 2 or 3 times of that happening.
It's like you're rushing.
So, yeah, he was getting me right. But it's just, I've always loved drums. That's always been my first love. Like, I love technology second. Well, I love my lady second, but
yeah.
As hobbies go, technology is something I'm into. I just pursue drumming. I mean, I pursued drumming so hard, man, I didn't get my license until 3 years ago. I can legally drive as of 2022 because I missed driver's ed trying to do jazz band in high school. But that's, to answer your question, it's been a life thing, man. I started at 2, we can say, to put an age on it. Mm-hmm. And I had my first church gig at, it's between 4 and 5, I can't remember, but I had my first $50 gig in an envelope at 4 or 5 years old. And from then on, it was, we're doing this.
Well, when it comes to your list, we can get into your Big Fat 5, but what was the criteria when picking items that were going to make this list? Was it personal influences or was it technical inspiration, all that jazz?
It started with time. Time was a factor at first. So the Prohibited Beats record is something I was on really heavy in high school. I haven't checked it out as much now because it feels like it's a part of me, but with this interview coming up, I dove back into a few of everything on that page, and I don't know why I stopped listening / playing over it, because you can never go wrong with Jojo specifically. But like, that was something I considered myself growing up on, you know. With some of the other ones, I found out about them more recently, and they're what's helping shape my playing now, which is why I go back to saying I don't know why I stopped listening to Prohibited Beats, because Jojo's still playing stuff that I'm touch-wise trying to grasp to this day. And I had the right idea back then and still have it now if I get back into it. So time was a factor, and then just what's going on in life now, what I've been listening to the most, because I'm kind of a stagnant listener. Once I find something I like, I'll be stuck there until one of the homies is like, bro, you got to check this out, or they drag me and they're like, listen, and put on some fire. But I like what I like until something else grabs my ear. So it was kind of hard.
Yeah,
honestly,
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
To dive back in.
You alluded to the first one, so it's the artist is Nerve, the album's Prohibited Beats, release year's 2009. Drummer is Jojo Mayer, and a few of the key tracks. But as I always say, people check out all these records, just start to finish. But Syncopath, Far, 7, and is it Jabon?
I still couldn't tell you. I'm waiting to meet Jojo, and he'll tell me.
Yeah. So it's Jabon.
Yes.
That's another song. But yeah, take it away, and then we'll listen to a track from the album. But why specifically did this album stick out to you?
Well, this was one of the first ones that really I can say and put some sort of date on that shaped my playing. You know, I was in high school jazz band, not really understanding the language of swing, like the feel of it. I could play jazz, I could play the music, sure, but the feel and respect and soul behind it was something I didn't understand back then. And this album, with a lot of the drum and bass stuff, it gave me an outlet to experiment with some of the fast swing that we were doing in high school, which if you can play it fast, you can usually play it slow. So I was getting all these different comping ideas from a drum and bass album that I could translate and staple into jazz. And from the drum and bass record, I can also apply it to the chops I was doing at the time. I was in high school, it was very like right, left, kick, left, right, kick, you know. I was more rudimentary on whatever marching drums I had in front of me, but applying that to drum set was a little harder because you got the foot and you have the hi-hats, so there's stuff there. But this record helped me dial that stuff in. Jojo made pretty much every avenue of the drumming I was doing at that time seem possible, and at like one pipeline, not this specific genre has to be this specific genre. Like a drum and bass groove is just fast swing. Fast swing is just shout music. So that album, why it made the list, and I don't know if it was a tier list or not. I just did the 5 that that helped. But this one was number 1 because it really shaped a lot of the stuff I play now, a lot of the ways I approach drums now. I've loved Jojo for, life, as we all should. And if you don't, love Jojo Mayer. Love Jojo Mayer. It was a very influential album at the time and still will be once I dive back into it.
Awesome, man. Well, I will attest he's been a guest on the podcast. Not only is he a great drummer, he is a gentleman through and through. Well, let's do 7, or
all right.
Number 7, and then even, but 7. let's go on to number 2, and Button Masher. The album's the 16-bit wave, dot wave. Release year's 2020. Key tracks: Siblings, Meta Knight's Revenge from Kirby Superstar, and the drummer is Midi. So take it away.
So I found this album at a harder place in life, I'll say, and a lot of things weren't looking as up as they could have. I was gigging around town, which is nice, but, paycheck to paycheck isn't always the friendliest. And I found this album. I forget how it came about, honestly. I think Instagram recommended me Button Masher or something along those lines. But from there, this was the first I had heard of him, and sold ever since. Something that specifically touches me is same dad that took my gear. He's like a very big retro guy, so where other kids, I watched SpongeBob. I had Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network a little later in life, but we had antennas a little earlier in life. So with the antennas came whatever was on, but my dad always had the old 1980s Thundercats or He-Man or Good Times, the Jeffersons, all that stuff. So I grew up on the older stuff, and we had Nintendo Entertainment System and Super Nintendo before, like, my uncles on my mom's side would bring their PlayStations over, and like we'd all hang out and play PlayStation then. But come nighttime, them controllers get wrapped up, that game gets wrapped up and put back in the book bag, and it's back to Mario or Duck Hunt, which was lovely, but his music puts me back in that place. It's a very nostalgic, grabbing feeling to me. And also, I loved playing to 8-bit music back when I was a little bit younger. I'd say maybe 11, 12. Pushing teenage years, I'd be in my grandparents' garage, and I would listen to, for the longest, My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade, but there was an 8-bit version of it that someone edited, so it was all chopped up and sounded like blew the cartridge and put it in to listen to the song. But
that's cool.
It touches a nostalgic place for me, and with his music specifically, whether it's original or a cover of some famous old school game, it's got, the arrangements are out of this world. There are a bunch of hits, a bunch of, it's just interesting to listen to if video game music is your thing. Some people, that's not their thing, but if you like MIDI sounds and old school Nintendo feeling music, Button Masher is 100% worth a check out. Once we get into listening to a song, Meta Knight's Revenge is one that's really good.
Okay. Sorry, you look like you're having a good time, but that's
yeah, they can check it out.
Wow. So you would just play along to that, essentially.
Yes, often. At that time, I wasn't practicing much drums as much as I was out playing, so I would, play on my legs to it, or if friends would have me over from time to time, that'll be something I put on and try to teach them the parts to shed along,
Yeah, those fills are in interesting spots too.
Oh yes, I'm covering that song today. My
Really?
gosh, yeah, I'm nostalgic, man. Not that wakes up my old school gamer. It wakes up like previous life, and then it just feels so good. The music itself feels amazing. It's It's great to listen to. It's a lot of fun. I love fun music. With a song like this, I mean, when I first heard it, man, I was like, what in the world is going on? I mean, the start of the song literally is just bup, 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 bup. Like, where is one at until that
Yeah.
snare roll comes in? But counting is the biggest thing you can do. Counting in as small groups as you need to. So if you're a 4 guy or an 8 guy or a 16 guy, find where the phrases line up with the evenness of the bars. So find where things are even, find where things repeat. A lot of these tunes, especially when they're super crazy, they have a super, super huge repetition factor because, I mean, how crazy does it get before you need to just say it again or make something and then go back to that crazy thing? In jazz, there's always a form, and in music, there's always a form, but jazz, they present it with letters. So, for example, there's AABA is a standard jazz form, and each section can be an even number of bars. So, for example, you have 2 A's. Each A section is 8 bars. Then you have a B section. That B section can be 8 or 16. Let's leave it there. So we'll call it a 16 bar B just to make it different. Then you end with another 8 bar A. So when I'm learning a song nowadays, I'll find where maybe there's 4 bars, and let's call that A prime or A half. If there's another 4 that are doing the same thing, that's the first A. Does that first A repeat itself? No, then that's B. How many bars is that B section then? Let's run the tune back from either the beginning or where supposed B starts. After I have that amount of bars, does that repeat? Yes, no. Next letter, so on and so forth. Once I have that charted, I'll start focusing on the little intricacies like the hits and how many times those hits happen, and is it actually that crazy? Because sometimes you're just overwhelmed with how much is happening in the music, but as soon as you have a piece of a chart, it doesn't even have to be a whole thing like I'm explaining. Once you just have a whiff of time, it all makes sense. So that's my approach to breaking down tunes like this. Find some sort of form, and then you can add the letters up once you're done with the song. So you may have a form that goes A, B, C, D, A, B, D, C, but you're able to chart it out, follow it along, and before you know it, you're playing it like the back of your hand.
Well, something like this song, say you heard it for the first time, where Xavier is right now, how long do you think it would take for you to learn a song like that and cover it?
I'd say 3 good hours.
Jeez. Okay.
3 good hours. Give me 3 good hours. Dance of Eternity took me 5 days to learn. Or I had 5 days to learn it, was the thing. That's like one of the hardest songs out here, just mathematically, not crazy chops wise, but just thinking. That's a really hard tune. This one, it has some hard stuff happening, but as the viewers will find out, if you listen to the rest of it, it repeats some stuff, and you can, but hearing it for the first time, mind blown. 3 hours. I think I could chart something out and have a playable cover of it. Actually, I did a Pearl shoot one time and I covered a Button Masher song called Rumblin' Thunder, and I learned that the day before the shoot, and that one's pretty hard too.
Are you a procrastinator, or just you really didn't know what you were going to play till the night before? I'm both.
It was sort of both in that situation, but with the Pearl shoot, it was that one actually was last minute. I am a procrastinator. I will put that on blast. But that one was a little more of, hey, I'm going to be in your city. Are you guys free? I have an off day. And they actually were free to make something happen. And I hit them up enough time in advance to have something in the books at least. So that enough time being, I think, a week or 2, but I was still actively on tour. So I won't call it procrastination. I was working, but it was super last minute in the grand scheme. Like when you're dealing with HQ, they like to know their stuff months in advance, even if it's just for a day of video shooting. They like to know that this guy's going to be here 3 months from now, and we're super prepared. But I hit them up like a week or two in advance, and it just so happened to work out. And with that, I didn't know what I was going to play, but I was talking to Button Masher and asking him, like, hey, I think I'm going to play one of your songs. I knew that much. Did he have any recommends? And he had, like, just dropped this song not that long ago and was like, hey, if you want to cover this, I'd love to hear your take on this. And it's a fresh one, so that'll help me, and I'm always here to help the homies. So let's do it, bet. And one day later, oh my gosh, I've got to recover that song too, because I just hear it differently now. But
Sure.
I learned it overnight, and for that first half of the day, and it turned out well. So yeah, three hours, man. 3 hours with Xavier now, because Xavier then got another hard one in a night. So we only get better, that's no boast. I just take pride in getting better and actually seeing the results of said progress. 10 years ago, I was just so focused on trying to make it somewhere that I still struggle with this, but it's hard to stop and smell the flowers sometimes. So within smelling the flowers, I'm accepting, while I wasn't sniffing them, I was always critiquing my playing, and I still critique it. Don't get me wrong, but I was my own worst critic. I mean, any show could have been a good show, but there was always some nitpicky thing, like this wasn't right, or man, that was the most incredible performance I've seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of drummers, and I'm like, thanks, but this could have been better. And it's, why am I doing that if people are telling me their lives are being changed and they're going to go practice or they're going to dust off the old E-kit? Who am I to tell them, like, that wasn't my best performance, or to not let them have that to take home and practice? Like, sure, maybe it's more inspiring that wasn't at my peak, but that's how I felt. How they felt was that was the most amazing thing I've seen. So I've been encouraging myself with the help of my lady and friends just to be more present in what's happening. And again, you couldn't have told me 10 years ago, like, we'd just be chilling, chatting, talking about drums, life,
Well, I love that you're talking about this, because that's kind of become not a new angle, but just a big direction that I'm leaning towards, is talking about mental health and how you talk to yourself and how you make sure that you're still keeping the eye on the ball. So I think it's the responsibility of the artist, is that sometimes you do have to have that weight of the art that you're creating in order to make people feel something, So it's like, it's okay that I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that sadness is there, because that's how you sometimes you need that to get something through.
As I'm getting better now, it's awesome. But a few years ago, I used to say, like, 2019 Xavier was a different animal, because that was just the time period. The place I was staying, while it was full of love in the household, sometimes things weren't financially always meeting up, or didn't always have gigs here and there, or so, just a whole lot of life. So anytime I could shed, anytime I could play. I mean, I used to be heavy before, like, not crazy big, but I was a bigger boy, little chub about me. And throughout that time period in life, I lost weight from shedding and playing and, not eating as much, because the situations always didn't permit. Life was life. It was real. But that time period, anytime I could touch a drum set, it was just like it is now. But back then, it was like the safest space I knew. I couldn't not give it my all. I mean, hungry stomach and all, and thank God I was 19, 20, 21, where I could hungry stomach shed all night long. And the only question is, are you hungry? Do you need something? And I tell him no.
I'm good, dude.
I'm good, man. Let's just keep playing.
Sure.
Body's not hurting. So, but that was a different animal because of that emotional wow factor. I call it a wow because that's how I still watch those videos sometimes. It's just like, wow, that man, that boy man was not in the best mental space. And I'm glad drums were there to for that outlet. Everyone needs an outlet of some sort, whether it's crayons or drumsticks. Everyone needs something to let go or to be able to let go. So I'm grateful for that. But it shows in my playing back then. It was great stuff, but it was very attacky. It was very out to get something. Nothing to prove necessarily. Like I knew I could play, but it still wasn't. I was striving for perfection then, whereas now perfect doesn't matter. It's the music. There really is no perfect. Like there's a perfect feeling when it's all said and done and everyone knows like that was great, that was awesome. But there's no reason to strive for the perfect licks or the perfect feel necessarily. Like just be yourself, accept who you are in yourself. And if you're super killing, that's amazing. Accept that. Stop beating yourself up because you're super killing. If you're not super killing, accept that. There's always room to grow. Just like there is at the top of the totem pole. There's always someone better than you. But now I'm in a place where I enjoy almost everything. I'm always smiling, and I was smiling then, but that's because I was happy playing. Now life is a bit better. It's still not crazy sweet. We're not living in mansions or anything, no white picket fences yet, but it's a much better space to play now. I don't feel sad before I play. It's easier to accept that it sounds good and there's no ego behind it. It's just when you're proud of something, it's okay to be proud of it. And in music, it's a fine line because if you have a guy that's constantly saying how good he is, before you know it, everyone's noses are turned, even if he is that good. But people know what people know, and it's okay to have that pride in yourself. It's, in my opinion, how you reach your best playing. You have to know that you're good at something to continue being the best you can be at it. If you're constantly putting yourself down, you're not going to get too far unless you really do just have God-given natural ability and you just think you suck. So mental health is huge, as you were saying.
I mean, I need to get better at being so self-deprecating, even in like a humor way, because I always viewed it as like this way to make everyone be like, oh, okay, well, Ben's making fun of himself, so we can. It's just this disarming vibe I try and create, and then after a while, it's like I only talk bad about my playing in like a funny way, but it's like, why do I do that?
But why even? It's still energy put into that. You can be like, oh yeah, that sucks right then, but then you take it home. Next thing you know, you're practicing, and you're like, oh, that sucked, and it's like, wait. Why am I taking this home? No one's here. No one's here to laugh with me.
Only me to cry with
Only me to cry with me.
Well, let's I mean, I think this is great insight from especially someone of your level that still battles with this. And I'll say it's a battle. It's a battle for me.
Yeah.
But it's really important to know that not everyone always has it figured out, nor I think is that the goal. It's kind of like what you were saying, there's no perfect playing, but there's that perfect feeling of being okay with yourself.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, which that is attainable. But let's go to number 3. So it's Lewis Cole. Quality Over Opinion is the album. Release years 2022. A few of the key tracks: Laughing in Her Sleep, I'm Tight, and Failing in a Cool Way. Of course, the drummer is Lewis Cole, who is savant. So take it away, dude.
I won't say like we're not best friends, but we keep in contact here and there. And there's something special, and I meant to say this about Button Master too. There's something special about having friends that make music. Yes. Then there's something special about having friends that make really, really good music. So I always love the homies, and something I aim to do one day, you know, when people ask, if you're gonna ask, I'm answering it now. So if I'm jumping the gun, who are your influences? I like to say my homies, and one day I want my homies to be, you know, the people I grew up with, but as well as the drum OGs and the community now, because I aim to love everyone as best as I can and as much as they'll let me. So I want for people, when they ask me who my influences are, I just want to say it's my friends' music, my friends playing, not this guy here, this guy there. No, that's for the guys that I didn't get to meet.
Yeah.
Like the ones that have long gone. Like Aaron Spears was a friend. We were aiming up to have a little mentorship thing going before he passed, rest in peace. So like I consider him a friend, a brother in that sense. But like Buddy Rich, I didn't know him. And like while he's killing, there's also some VHS tapes that say, did I want to know him, or would I have been able to know him? Would I have been good enough for him to even respect me? Or would he have cussed me out just like he did his band members that were also equally as killing? So, like, there are the GOATs past, but I want my influences, my answer to never end, essentially, because there's always going to be great drummers. That being said, Lewis Cole is a good friend, and that feeling of listening to, like, my homie created this, and knowing them a little bit better than knowing, like, say, a Kendrick Lamar. Like, he puts himself out there enough so that you know what he's about, you can feel his emotion, but it's not the same as being able to have had a conversation with that person, even just one, and then going back and listening to the album. So I got into this album maybe 2 or 3 months ago. It's been out since 2022, but like I said earlier, like we were saying, once we're deep in some music, we're kind of stuck for a little bit, and stuck is the wrong word, but that's how it feels in my brain.
Sure.
But I've been riding up and down the highways to this album. It's a great time killer, also a more great listen. And what I've noticed in my playing recently, as I've just been letting this rock, is I'm becoming more solid. I'm a very loosey-goosey feel guy because, I don't know, 6/8 is my favorite time signature because it's swayy. It's like rocking on a boat. I'm from the beach. Maybe there's some correlation there. But
Sure.
Lewis Cole is a lot of his stuff, whether it's just him or with Knower or whether he's featured on something, it's like boo, cat, boots and cats and boots and cats, do chick, catch, cat. Same like drum and bass Jojo Mayer feel, but it's Jojo is even looser in his feel, dare I say. If he hears this, I love you, and if I'm wrong, hit me, brother. I'm happy to talk about it. But Lewis Cole is like intentionally locked in. I mean, dare I say, he quantizes, and I know he doesn't. There's none of that happening. It's just straight up boot, cat, and I've noticed recently when I'm locking into whether it's slow or fast groove pocket, it feels better. It feels more solidified than it did even 2 or 3 months ago. And in Bilmuri, we played a click, so there is a click in my ears often, but it's still not the same as listening to something, internalizing that without a metronome, and then taking that to a stage that's not Bilmuri. And the Lewis Cole has helped my Murray stuff because as drummers, we're supposed to make the click disappear, and that happens the more and more I dive into this record. But it's nice to take that same solidness off of the click and put it somewhere, just even at home practicing, it feels better. And it makes spazzing out or going to explore a little more fun as well, because you've had such a solid foundation. It's like, oh no, I started from here and ended up in La La Land, but this is where I was. That's nice. It's a good feeling as a drummer, because it's easy to just go in and play. But this album, I mean, all 3 of those tunes mentioned all have, I don't know if it's possible to go through all 3 of those, but
Dude, there's no rules. Yeah, let's do them all.
yeah, we don't, just a piece of them all will do.
Yeah.
justice.
So, Laughing in Her Sleep. Let's do that one. Let's do that one first. I'm Tight. That's such a good groove.
Yeah, man, yes.
This is it, now you know. This is where the little moments go. This is it, now you know. This is nice, getting deep. Slightly dirtier than airplane sleep. This is nice, this is nice. This is this.
All right, people got to listen to the whole thing. Now let's go to Failing in a Cool Way.
Yes.
I like my freaky secrets. I like to stay up late. I like to search the net for bad pictures of your face. I like it when you touch me like I'm your ugly friend. I like to write you fucked up messages without pressing send. I used to bag your groceries. I used to smash your eggs. Drive home, work some more, hunt, and kill my fate. I like it when you fail. I like that that's okay. I like that I am failing, but in a cooler way.
Oh my God, I'm so happy you introduced me to this record. I'm going to blast this too.
Oh, my mans. I'm honored, brother. This record, drive with it.
Sure,
You'll get anywhere you need to go.
I love that. All right, well, just for the sake of time, let's go to Sonny Rollins and the album's East Broadway Rundown, released year's 1966. Key track we're going to listen to is Front to Back, and the GOAT, Elvin Jones.
I should have clarified that. Yeah. It's only 3 tunes. Front to back, though.
Yeah.
Literally.
I'm not even going to edit that out, so listen to the whole record.
Yes.
But the drummer's Elvin Jones, so yeah.
Elvin, man, what can I say? So, what I can say before I start posing, because anyone that says Elvin, what can I say, has known about him their whole entire life.
Yeah.
I first saw his name, but didn't research, didn't check anything out. virtualdrumming.com, if you've heard of that. You can play drums on your computer keyboard. There's a whole bunch of kits. They've got it now where you can even make custom ones. It's pretty cool.
Virtualdrumming.com.
I still dabble from time to time. It's a good little practice thing too if you need some live drums right then to hear and just tap out. Anywho, I saw his name on that. Elvin Jones was one of the jazz drummers listed at that time period, way back when, in middle school maybe. So I would play on his set when I wanted to do jazz stuff because his tones for the toms they had in the Midi files back then, they suited what I was doing the best. And still didn't research him. I just knew I loved his drums and those tones they chose for him. College was when I learned about Elvin Jones, and his play style just, you couldn't have convinced me until I heard it on record that was allowed. And my high school teacher, I'm going to rat him out a little, Mr. Wright, he knew I came from a church background, So to get me playing jazz so that it wouldn't be churchy jazz, I completely respect it, because jazz is really hard to actually get. Anyone can play a swing pattern, but not everyone can play the language that is.
Sure.
It takes time to get. And you couldn't have told me that the way Elvin played was what the language was when I was in high school, because a fond memory of mine is we were playing some sort of tune and I did a double kick single, but just like ding, 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 got something fast. It was probably a little too fast. Mr. Wright cut the band and was like, there is no double bass in jazz drumming. And I know what he meant. I know what he means now. But back then, I took that to heart. So you best believe unless we were playing a funk song or something, you weren't getting much of any double bass at all from me playing swing. I mean, Elvin aside for a bit, there's this guy named Kobe Watkins, who's also a really good drummer. He's the first guy I saw actually dig in. And from there, when I listened to Elvin, I was like, oh, he's playing that Kobe stuff, but vice versa. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But Mr. Wright had told me no on double bass jazz drumming, essentially. And I took that to heart. And Elvin opened me up to the world of that is allowed. There's like no wrong answers, essentially. If you're following the music and that's what your guiding path is, as long as you're listening, there are no wrong answers. The moment you stop listening and start playing drums, you're liable to be wrong. You can be good enough to make it right while being shut off from the rest of the world. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been tired or not wanting to be somewhere at a certain time and just gotta play through it. It's okay to be human, but it's also better to just try and listen through those opportunities as well. So if your ears are open, you really can't make mistakes outside of dropping beats in anything you're playing. There are no wrong answers, and that's something Elvin specifically, along with like Tony and the rest, Max Roach, the GOATs, but his style was the most wide open. Even Tony is still not boxed in, because that's nowhere near the right phrase, but even Tony has, his swing is straighter, like it's the Tony Williams thing, whereas Elvin, it almost seemed like you didn't know what you were getting. You could get a big bash here, then swing into a wow. With Tony, it was like ticka-ding, 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 ticka-ding. When I was listening to Tony in college, it showed me that you could be wild, but it didn't show me how free you could be necessarily. And he was free as a bird. I understand that now. But Elvin, listening to him, was like, oh, you can like bash a cymbal on B3 while a soloist is playing and it's musical. Let's experiment with that. And then I got told I was too loud a lot in school, so I had to dial that down in college. All the upperclassmen would kick my butt. They'd be like, man, you sound great, but it's just too daggone loud. So the whole record isn't like that, but that 20-minute tune, like, Elvin takes a solo in there, and disclaimer as well, the first tune features Freddie Hubbard on trumpet, then the rest is trio. But one of my favorite things about this record is that it's bare bones as crap. It's nothing like a bunch of good musicians without chords to lube up what's happening. Like, it's straight up just bare knuckle. There's no piano, no guitar. It's just horns, bass, and drums. And that's some of my favorite jazz to listen to specifically, especially when Elvin's involved, because as you noticed, it's tasteful as a mug, but he digs in the whole time, whether it's soft or whether it's super intense. You know, there's nothing stopping him from taking it there. And the bass, the bass in this sense is really the driving factor. All Elvin has to do is keep that ride locked, and the rest is history. And this record showed me freedom. Elvin in general, but I found out about this one from a friend of mine. His name's Butler Knowles. He's a super killing bass player. And I forgot how it came up, but he was like, dude, you heard of East Broadway Rundown? He totally hit me with the cat, cat talk. Like, no, you heard of East Broadway Rundown? And I was like, East Broadway what? And he's like, East Broadway Rundown, bro. You got to take that home with you. So I said, you know what? Butler don't give me much to check out. So I'm gonna check this out.
Sure.
Drive home, East Broadway Rundown. I couldn't remember what it was called for like 10 minutes and finally found it, and life changed. I immediately went home. When I got home, I told my girlfriend, I was like, Sam, listen, I just heard this album and like it sends me to the sunken place. I'm drowned out for 20 minutes in just the jazziest notes and feels from the goats that you could ever be presented. And it's just right here in front of us. Like, also something I like is, no disrespect at all, I just like to think about how humans were back then. And yes, they were more clean cut, a little more suited up, serious, but this album to me, if it was Sonny Rollins' like life work, I will take this to the grave, my forgiveness. But this album sounds like he got the boys together and just went and played some music, and that's some of my favorite forms of being gifted an album. Like, it's nothing like the hard work over the months or years that pay off when you finally get that heat. Beautiful. But it's also really dope when the goats are just like, hey, who's in town? Or I want these guys this day, and we're just going to play, and we're going to be free. It's something beautiful about that to me, that it's not lost now, but that's not what the Spotify bots are listening for anymore. They're translating from different artists. Like, he's wilding out in this, but he's not wilding out as much. He's still Elvin, but in a Love Supreme, you know? And there's a song by him that's called Longs that I really like. And that's just an Elvin Jones tune. And he's wilding out on that because it's his tune, The Tetris game is fun. It's like you can almost dial it to see which artist required them to be the most or the least like themselves, in a sense, until they got to that place of, nah, I'm me and this is who I'm playing with, or I'm not in it. But stuff like that.
Yeah. And this record's cool too, because you were saying there's no piano or guitar. Frequency wise, you can hear a lot more of his drums because he just has more room in the spectrum to be articulated. Yeah.
In that 1966 room they were probably all standing in, Elvin might be behind two shields of the era.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like, there's bleed going into everyone's mics. You can't tell me there's not. And that's lovely because you just hear more of it, like you were saying. There's nothing covering any of what he's doing up. It's lovely. It's definitely, for a drummer or any drummer, but aspiring jazz drummer as well, it's definitely worth a check out. And it's also worth knowing that while they were bashing like that in the record, it's still not as hard as we bash because the rooms were smaller. The gear was different back then. The drums, I don't want to say were more responsive, but like back then, it was more or less like thud, thud, and here's some tone.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to whack them super hard to get crazy response. It was, 6-ply shells across the board.
And the hardware, man, you can't bash some of those rack mounts.
You're knocking that stuff off if you're playing like you think you're hearing it every time you touch a drum set. So I want to put that out there for people aspiring to play jazz. While it may sound loud, the technology wasn't advanced back then. So any sort of clipping from just this, they weren't playing that loud all the time. Or when there's a live record and everything's boosted, they're probably playing like this.
Yeah.
You just want to keep everyone playing soft because that's how we stay working out here. If it's not on the big stage, it's on the small one, and you have to play to the room.
Mm-hmm.
You got to. Like, I don't ever want to tell anyone what to do, but I'm here to tell you I had to play soft to get some sort of cushion back in the day, and I still play soft. I just played soft last weekend 2 nights in a row. It's never ending, and it's more fun than a lot of people think if you don't look at it as being silenced.
Yeah.
That's a big one. You get told to play soft and your whole morale just instantly drops. But instead, it can be like, okay, first off, I'm going to play so soft that you don't have to lean over for your conversation, even though you're right in front of me. And second off, I'm going to make you watch us more because you're going to wonder, how is that possible that soft if you care? Because some people don't care. But if you care, you're going to wonder, how is that happening? How are you achieving all of that at this volume?
Yeah, you want to pull people in. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, let's go to the last one. It's Yellow Jackets. The album's Blue Hats, released year's 1997. A few of the key tracks: Cape Town, Statue of Liberty, New Rochelle, and the drummer is Mr. Will Kennedy. So take it away, and then we'll listen to some Will.
So what introduced me to this album, Mr. Right. Bring Mr. Right back up. In high school, we played the song New Rochelle. That was one of the first times I'd heard jazz fusion in that sense. Like, Mr. Right had introduced me to some Chick Corea, like Got a Match, stuff like that. So my ear was open, but the Yellow Jackets, or Yellow Jackets as they call themselves, there was so much soul in that music. Even in high school, listening back to that track, I had to recreate what Will Kennedy was doing, like from the backbeat feel. Before I figured out what I wanted to sound like, I just knew I wanted to sound good. So what are these guys doing? I wanted to sound exactly like him with the little piece of me that I had back then. And from listening to that, I was introduced to the other tunes on the album naturally, but New Rochelle was my main focus back in the day. Picture back to that really hard time in life, that 2019, 2020 era. I revisit this record because New Rochelle popped up. Oh, I also used to clean the New Rochelle in high school, doing chores and stuff. So it's been a good piece of my life. Nostalgic factor there. But that period in life where it wasn't as sweet, times were fun, but not as sweet. Anywho, I revisit this record and really take a deep dive, listen, and Will Kennedy's touch is some of the best on the planet. He's one of the guys that can play intensely, but not overpower anything. Like, there's almost no wrong decisions, dare I say. And that's hard to achieve. And that whole album, I can't think of one thing that he should have played different. Sure, other people are different, and maybe another guy's approach on it, I'd like to hear it played that way or XYZ. But Will Kennedy did his job. That paycheck or those royalties, every cent, he earned it.
Hell yeah.
request one more off of that?
Of course.
Could you play a little Statue of Liberty for me?
Yes. Here we go. Xavier, that's it, man. Thank you so much, dude.
Oh, man, we're done?
I mean,
gracious.
Yeah, we were talking for almost an hour and a half.
Sheesh.
And that's the show. If you're listening on a platform that allows ratings and reviews, do that. It helps more people find the show, so it'll get bigger and better, and hopefully I'll have a chance to sell out one day. But you'll be an OG listener that can brag to all your friends. Anyways, why don't you go and check us out at bigfatsnaredrum.com and follow us on all the socials. Just search for Big Fat Snare Drum and you will find us. The show is edited in part using iZotope RX Audio Editor. It's amazing, so go check that out at iZotope.com. And thanks again to Gunnar Olsen for the theme music. Bye.